Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zack Brown. Another awesome show for you today. Recap episode of all the weekend in racing, including during the week at the High Limit Series with Kyle Larson, all of NASCAR at Martinsville, World of Outlaw action, All-Star Circuit of Champion action, NHRA, and IndyCar. So let's get this episode started. And as always, it's brought to you by W Energy. Go to w.gg. Use promo code ZBHP. Get 10% off your order. If you want to get something to get you through the day, some energy, get you some W Energy. No crash, no jitters, nothing like that. Again, w.gg. Promo code ZBHP. Let's get on with it. So as always, as we do every week, we recap the action, starting off with the NASCAR action. NASCAR had all three series race at Martinsville. We're going to kick it off with the Cup Series, and yes, since he won, we're rolling with the hat again this week. Kyle Larson wins the NASCAR Cup Series race at Martinsville on Sunday. His first ever win at Martinsville, but it marks the 28th for Hendrick Motorsports, just dominating fashion at that racetrack with that entire organization. Not the driver I expected to win from that race, from that organization to win that race. Kyle Larson showed a lot of resiliency, a lot of patience throughout the race, and he even said himself it's not his style of racing. But Cliff Daniels, one heck of a crew chief, one of the best in my opinion. He was able to encourage Kyle, keep him motivated throughout the race. Made an awesome strategy call at the end, doing two tires. I wasn't sure how that was going to play out, but obviously it worked. Got Larson the position he needed to stay up front. A couple people stayed out. There wasn't a whole lot, as much tire fall off as I thought there would be. He might have been able to even get away with just staying out. But that final restart, Larson's on the outside in the fourth position. He was able to find a hole on the inside, jump down low. I believe it was Almirola in front of him, didn't get a great start, but he was able to cut down and get third pretty quickly. And he was able to take second, and then he was able to run down Joey Logano, who we'll get to in a second. Crazy how he ended up with getting that lead the way he was running all day. And Larson was finally able to give a little bumper shove to Logano in the closing laps. And Logano said after the race, I mean, he's like, I wasn't going to give it to him. He's like, obviously he was faster, but you got to work for it. And it's all part of the Martinsville racing, all of how short tracks are supposed to be done. It was the cleanest, I guess you consider it a bump and run as you can get. It's about as textbook as you can get. Larson hit him, got him a little loose, got him to move to the outside lane, and he was able to give him a nice little shove after a couple laps riding side by side, and that was all she wrote. And everybody was just hoping there was not a late race caution, because honestly, I think that 19 of Martin Truex Jr. had a shot to win that race if it went a green-white checker or something. He was extremely fast at the end, and hey, that was my pick. So, I mean, I guess I wasn't too far off on who I was picking. But I should know better. Going into Martinsville, it's dominated. It's what history's shown us by Hendrick Motorsports. It's a pretty good race. Not a lot of cautions, but a lot of good racing. Side-by-side action. There probably should have been a lot more cautions. Surprisingly, people didn't wreck as much as I anticipated. They were able to hold onto their car if they got pushed out onto the outside line. A little more towards the end as people got more and more impatient. But overall, pretty good race. And I think it's a testament to that, the downforce package they used to at all these short tracks. I don't think it affected it too much at Martinsville. And you can comment below if what your thoughts were on the downforce package here at Martinsville as compared to what it was in Richmond or anything like that. I think the downforce package it applies more for the larger, so to speak, short tracks such as Richmond and Phoenix, and when they go back to Bristol on concrete, it's just where it's more of an aerodynamic advantage to change things up and make it better racing. But again, hats off to Larson. That entire 5 team, they were again patient throughout the race. They let the track come to them, take advantage of some cautions at the end, which were a lot of people's advantages and a lot of people's disadvantages. Joey Logano took advantage, stayed out, and everybody pit on that last caution. This dude was running in the high 20s all day, and he ended up with the lead. And Joey said, he's like, I wasn't gonna just let people buy me. And Joey's a 2-time champion for a reason. He had the catbird seat, he had the clean air, but ultimately he just didn't have the fastest car at the end. But to get second place after running, I think an average they said like around 28th or something, it's pretty impressive how they were able to bounce back with that. And even Joey said it himself, it felt like a win considering how bad of a day they were having. Another driver that took advantage at the end was Martin Truex Jr. He had a speeding penalty about middle of the race-ish and got jumbled to the back, and it's hard to pass at Martinsville as it is. And he didn't have the best car to go through the field like that. He had to work on strategy, and he was able to. And he ended up running up through the end. And again, I think he was the fastest car at the end. If there's green white checkered, I think he would have had something to say to Larson about that. Ended up third. He got around Danny. I thought Danny was going to be able to hold him off, but Truex showed tremendous speed, and he was just the better car at the end. And it was a good race. I enjoyed it. Hopefully the TV numbers will be a little bit better. Crowd was all right, it looked like. Still more empty seats than I'd like to see. But I think it showed how many, I'm not sure how many it's Larson fans or Hendrick fans that were at the end when Larson did the burnout for an entire lap. That was pretty damn cool. And everybody was screaming as loud as they could. I think, and I'm pretty sure Larson is definitely one of the most popular drivers. And I'd venture to say he's getting to be the most popular driver in NASCAR. And just the way he can just drive everything, puts on a show, and he's very humble, and you could tell how excited he was to get that Martinsville win. He showed a lot more excitement than he usually does in NASCAR races. I think he's like one of the most excited races he's had since the championship. Let's run through the top 10 real quick with the Cup Series, and we'll talk about the Xfinity and the trucks. So Larson, Logano, Truex, like I was talking about. Denny Hamlin ended up fourth. He had a solid car. He had a shot to win too. It all came down to strategy at the end, really, with the pit stops and whatnot. Chase Briscoe was fifth, and I think he led the most laps. Pretty sure he led the most laps, or second most laps. He led a lot of laps, most in his career. And the Stewart-Haas cars were really fast for the entire race. Again, it's just how people caught that caution at the end, how it all played out. Almirola right behind his teammate, getting sixth. Solid finish from him. Ryan Blaney. And then you get Stenhouse, top 10 for Stenhouse at a short track. He's already got that win. He's having a solid year. He had a good race last week too. started to string together some momentum there. So look out for Stenhouse coming up. The team's showing a lot of speed. Bubba Wallace gets a solid top 10. He gets ninth. And Chase Elliott on his return to racing, which everybody's shocked that he decided this is the week he wanted to come back. He had a broken left tibia or fractured left tibia, something like that. And this is the hardest track using your left leg for braking. So Chase was able to overcome some adversity throughout the race. Didn't have the fastest car. Again, took advantage of late race caution. Was able to make some moves at the end. Had enough adjustments and get in top 10 finish. So I think for him, it's a very successful day. For that, doesn't get that $100,000 donated to a charity of his choosing from Pat McAfee, but it's still a solid return to the sport. Let's talk some about the high limit racing with Kyle Larson real quick. That was earlier on in the week. That was on Tuesday. Awesome racing. A lot of drama at the end. Rico Abreu, he had it won. 5 to go. He had it won. Then he had a tire go down. And Gio Scelzi takes the win at Lakeside. And Carson Macedo started 22nd there. He made it the whole way up to get second place. And if there was a late race restart, he would have got that win, I think, with him restarting second. That was very impressive for that. So the inaugural season debut for high limit racing, I think, was very successful. 56 cars were registered. Awesome to see. Awesome to see these guys go out and compete. They had a whole way to a C main, and it's just unheard of for a Tuesday night at racing. Really cool. I think they're doing the right thing. Huge crowd, and it was just a lot of fun. A lot of fun to watch. And doubling back to NASCAR, I just wanted to touch on the high limit real quick because that was on my mind. Larson winning, Larson Series. It's he's doing a lot of good things for the racing community. But let me go back to NASCAR real quick. Talk about the Truck Series in Xfinity. Trucks were the first ones to test those the rain tires. I guess the way they're racing them, you can call them damp race track tires. They're designed to race in the rain. Track was wet, but not overly, not like puddles or anything seeping through the cracks. Nothing crazy like that. It was just a damp race track. They're able to use that, and the tires they put on a pretty good show for the first part they were using it. And after I think it was 25 laps or so, they went to competition calls and put on the slicks and raced for a while with that. Kyle Busch had the fastest truck, and if I would have known he was competing in it, it probably would have been my pick. I should have known better that he was going to compete if there's a truck race and a cup race in the same weekend at the same track. The race actually stopped for actual rain, and I thought they were going to just put the rain tires on, and I think Kyle Busch did too. And that didn't happen. They had windshield wipers and everything. They were ready to go. So I was shocked. They didn't want to at least try it out. It's not a very high-speed track. It would have been interesting to see. The visibility was fine. And I don't think there was like any lightning or anything. They could have definitely tried it, but I'm not in charge of that. The race resumed, and they went until lap 124. And it started raining again, which it wasn't even that heavy of rain. It was a light drizzle. And Corey Heim ended up winning it. He ended up being in front of Kyle Busch when they finally called the race. And they talked to Kyle after. And he's like, I mean, why we got rain tires if we're not going to use it in the rain? I mean, I get it. And I know NASCAR wants to look out for the safety of the drivers and stuff, but you've tested this and you saw that it was working pretty well for a damp racetrack. The racetrack wasn't getting flooded or anything like that from the rain. They could have tried it. And if there were issues, stop the race. But this is coming from someone who had a bad experience with a racetrack at New Hampshire and spun out and was very adamant to NASCAR what he needed to see done. So listen to one of your all-time greats. Listen to Kyle Busch. He was like, let's roll with it. Try it out. And maybe some of it played a part of that. It's the truck series. They don't have the most talented drivers out of all the NASCAR series, and didn't want to risk anybody getting hurt and getting any more wrecks than they already had. Could have been that. But congrats to Corey Heim. The big controversy out of that race was Carson Hocevar starting to get the reputation that he's a dirty race car driver. And there's just no the way he wrecked Taylor Gray going down the backstretch. You're bumping and banging. It's Martinsville. You don't need to make a sharp left turn down the straightaway to wreck another driver. And that could have caused a lot more damage to all other trucks than what actually happened. Unnecessary safety risks that Carson put himself and all the other drivers in. So he was parked for 2 laps. Probably going to get fined. And the reputation he's getting, I mean, shoot, he could very well face a suspension. That's as much as intentional as the Bubba Wallace incident with Larson last year. So, just no place for that. Not that type of racing, not in Martinsville. You can bump them out of the way, move them out of the way, but don't go down the backstretch and hook somebody in the right rear and wreck them. It's just no point in that. Moving on to the Xfinity Series. I was right about this pick. So, John Hunter Nemechek gets his first ever Xfinity win at Martinsville. He said success there in the Truck Series. Dominated, won all 3 stages, led almost every single lap. Not a whole lot to really talk about. His burnout, though, was pretty damn cool. He burned it so hard that the tires caught on fire. That's pretty sweet. Nobody was hurt. No, don't worry about it. That's literally how you burn it down. 2 burnout days in a row, really cool ones. You got John Hunter's and then Larson's full lap reverse burnout. It's pretty cool. All right, moving on. Usually like to keep it in order with dirt and stuff. We'll end with dirt. Let's talk about the NHRA, racing the 4 Wide Nationals at Las Vegas. I was not right about any of my picks. And we'll talk about that with Dad on later this week. But top fuel results. Andron Brown made it to the finals and gets a win after a 9th place seeding from qualifying. He beat Brittany Force, Josh Hart, and Steve Torrance in the top fuel finals. So congrats to Antron. Awesome to see him. Antron's a really good guy. It's good to see him show some speed with top fuel and everything again. Funny car results. I'm pretty sure Dad was right about this one. I think he picked it. Matt Hagan won the race over Chad Green, John Force, and Tim Wilkerson. I think Dad even said John Force would be in the finals. He was saying all these veteran drivers, and he picked it real well. This is the next one that kind of threw us both off. Pro Stocks. Dallas Glenn gets the win over Troy Coughlin, Derek Kramer, and Christian Quadra. And we expect a lot more even more veteran drivers like Erica and Greg Anderson to make it to the finals. They even make it to the finals. So, and impressive racing by Dallas Glenn. Troy Coughlin's is a veteran, so we definitely expected him up there. But seeing Dallas Glenn win, that's really cool. This is the one everybody's talking about, though. One of the best drivers of all time of any car, Tony Stewart, Smoke, wins the top fuel alcoholic dragster. He won, I think it was by 30 thousandths of a second. And that just goes to show you, Tony can drive everything. It doesn't matter. And it's very impressive to see him finally get his first wall. He's been working real hard at it, you can tell. And that team, the entire organization, has put a lot of money and a lot of investments into their drag racing program, and it's definitely paying off. They're impressing week in and week out. And just congrats to Smoke. That's really cool to see. Again, one of the best all-time drivers. He said he can definitely drive everything. I bet he could drive those what is the competition boats or whatever they have. I bet he could even race those. He's just a very talented driver. So again, congrats to Smoke. Finishing up on asphalt, IndyCars at the streets of Long Beach, and I apologize to Scott Dixon. I very much jinxed you. Please don't blame me. My bad. Scott Dixon got last. Got caught up in an incident in that race, so yeah. But Kyle Kirkwood, his first ever win that he's got in his career, wins it for Michael Andretti Racing, and he dominated the whole race. It was a very fast car. He was just smooth sailing. I think he said it was a pretty quiet day, and it was the best day he's had. And just seeing them race around the streets for IndyCar, I think is really cool, especially that area they had. It was very neat scenery. I think one was a traffic circle around like a really fancy fountain or something. That was pretty cool. I don't know the area of Long Beach because I've never been to California, but it was pretty cool. I like street racing with Indy cars in Formula One. These cars can handle on those. To be determined how it's going to work in NASCAR. But congrats to Kyle Kirkwood on his first ever career win. All right, let's get down and dirty and finish it off. Mother Nature hit everybody seemingly pretty hard. The Outlaws were only able to race at I-55 Friday night. It was a Macedo versus David Gravel race for a while. Macedo went down low. It was lap 27. And Gravel was about the middle line. And there was a lap car right in between them. Macedo tried to dive underneath the lap car. Wasn't enough room. It just... Gravel and Macedo got together. It wasn't anything intentional. It was just one of those racing incidents, racing for the lead. And Gravel got the worst damage from it. He had to park it. But the person took advantage from that was Brad Sweet. He was able to get the lead from there. He never looked back. And he drove away from the field, got the win at I-55. So the Big Cat wins at I-55 and was the only race at I-55 for the Outlaws. Definitely have to give a shout out real quick to Lance DeWeese and the entire Don Kreitz Jr. 69K team winning at Williams Grove on Friday night. It's their first win at the Grove for this season. Finally, the Grove was able to get racing in with Mother Nature not cooperating that often. Mother Nature rained out Port Royal the next day, so that was the only race up there for them this weekend. The only one that got 2 nights of racing in. The All-Star Circuit of Champions. at Attica. And when my dad told you guys about how much of a dust bowl it was, yeah, damn right it was a dust bowl. But it was a good dust bowl. It was a lot of fun. It was really good racing. Parts you could see. Again, it's real dusty. A final lap pass, photo finish. Craig Mintz passed Zeb Wise. I mean, what a race! If you haven't got a chance, go check out all the highlights of that race. I didn't know who was going to win. It was back and forth for the last couple laps, and then the photo finish at the end. That was really cool. But what would night 2 bring? Well, it would bring Brent Marks in to start way back in the field. And he wasn't playing around in the race. Started 20th. And by lap 10, he was top 8 or something like that. I mean, he was just rolling. There was no stopping. He was passing them at will. It didn't matter. The car was hooked up. Brent Marks gets the win. The Myerstown Missile. So congrats to Brent and that team as well. It's cool to see him win. I guess technically former posse guy. And racing a little bit everywhere. Gone to his own equipment. I think he's still racing his own equipment. He's doing really well, racing just having solid finishes. And he's a very good race car driver. I think that's going to wrap it up. Just one thing to touch on with the Xfinity. John Hunter Nemechek won the $100,000 Dash for Cash for the Martinsville race. But get ready for this week, guys. Obviously, my dad's coming on later this week. And we have a very, very big guest coming on. Finally getting some love from the NASCAR community. Getting somebody in from NASCAR. That's all I'm going to say about that. So get ready, tune in, like and subscribe, YouTube, follow on all social media platforms, and go ahead and follow on all podcasting networks. If you're not able to watch on YouTube, go ahead and turn it on when you go to work and listen to it there. Another solid weekend of racing in the books. So see you guys on Crew Chief Corner in a couple days, and have a good one.